Imagine logging onto the internet, scrolling through videos, and stumbling upon something that doesn't just make you uncomfortable but shakes you to your core. A video so horrifying, so incomprehensible, that it leaves you wondering, who could do something like this? Today, we're uncovering the twisted and terrifying story of Luka Magnotta, a man who didn't just kill but turned his crimes into a spectacle, documenting his evil for the world to see. His story isn't just about murder. It's about narcissism, obsession, and the chilling depths of the human psyche. Luka Magnotta wasn't always known as a killer. Born Eric Clinton Newman in Scarborough, Ontario, his early life was riddled with instability. Raised in a fractured home, Luka's childhood was marked by isolation, neglect, and bullying. By his teens, he had adopted a new persona, one that masked the pain of his upbringing but also hinted at something darker brewing beneath the surface. He wanted to be seen, to be admired, to be famous. But in a world that didn't pay him the attention he craved, Luka decided to create his own spotlight.
My name is Luka. Magnotta is my last name, Magnotta.
In his early 20s, he reinvented himself, changing his name and styling himself as a model and adult film actor.
I'm a swimmer, so
that's good.
myself.
Like for you becoming an escort, do you enjoy your work?
Yeah, I really do enjoy my work. I get to meet new people and, all the time, and I'm a people person, and it just worked out great for me.
His social media accounts were filled with glamorous, self-obsessed photos, each one carefully curated to portray him as someone important. But behind the facade was a man desperate for validation and willing to do anything to get it. Before Luka ever turned to murder, there were warning signs, disturbing ones.
I mean, I knew he had problems. I mean, it showed, when I was with him. Just his body language, stuff he would do sometimes. It's just, in his character, you could just, his mannerisms.
In 2010, a video began circulating online showing someone suffocating kittens inside a vacuum-sealed bag. The internet exploded with outrage.
These were not people that were being paid money. They weren't doing it for the fame. They weren't doing it for recognition. They were doing it, we all had the same thing in mind. We wanted to catch this guy. And everyone was volunteering their own time, their own effort, taking time away from their families to come in here, mostly anonymously, to help with this one thing.
And animal rights groups launched campaigns to identify the person behind the act. Luka denied involvement, but internet sleuths were convinced he was responsible.
There was something about the way he did this. He loved on these cats. He pet them, he snuggled with them, and then he murdered them. This guy that's doing this, or this girl, we didn't know at the time, that's doing this is a vile human being and needs to.
In hindsight, these videos were the beginning of Luka's path to notoriety, a test run of sorts for something even more sinister. Psychologists often describe this as a phenomenon called graduation in criminal behavior, where someone starts small and escalates over time. For Luka, animal cruelty wasn't enough. He wanted a bigger audience, and tragically, that's exactly what he got. Fast forward to May 2012. A 33-year-old international student named Jun Lin had recently moved from China to Montreal, Canada, to pursue his education. He was described as kind, intelligent, and hardworking, a young man with his whole future ahead of him. Unbeknownst to Jun Lin, Luka Magnotta had been meticulously planning his next move. Luka lured Jun Lin to his apartment under the guise of a romantic encounter. What happened next is almost too horrifying to describe. Days later, a video surfaced online titled "One Lunatic, One Ice Pick." It was graphic, gut-wrenching, and unlike anything authorities or internet users had ever seen before. The video showed Luka brutally murdering Jun Lin. He filmed every agonizing moment: the stabbing, the dismemberment, and the desecration of Jun Lin's body. To Luka, this wasn't just a crime, it was a performance, one that he believed would make him unforgettable.
I don't think I've ever had a reaction like that to something like that before that was so intense, because it was just it wasn't normal.
But Luka didn't stop there. In a chilling attempt to spread fear, he mailed Jun Lin's severed body parts to political offices across Canada, including the Prime Minister's residence. Imagine being a postal worker or a staff member opening a package, only to find a human hand inside. The nation was horrified, and Luka had achieved what he wanted: worldwide attention.
That was the whole purpose. But see, the question is, if he had wanted to be known, then why did he do something that was going to send him to jail, where he will never be heard from again? I don't understand. Was he crazy? He was crazy.
Luka fled Canada before authorities could apprehend him, launching an international manhunt that spanned multiple countries. Interpol issued a red notice, and news outlets around the world covered the case. As the manhunt intensified, Luka seemed to revel in the chaos. He was spotted on surveillance cameras in France and Germany, always one step ahead of law enforcement. Meanwhile, he continued to post online, taunting authorities and feeding off the media frenzy. His arrogance, however, would be his undoing. In June 2012, Luka walked into an internet cafe in Berlin. Ironically, he wasn't there to hide. He was there to Google himself, eager to see how much attention his crimes were getting. The cafe's clerk recognized Luka from a news report and alerted the police. Within minutes, Luka was arrested, bringing an end to his weeks-long reign of terror. At Luka's trial, the courtroom was filled with grief and outrage. Jun Lin's family spoke about the unimaginable pain of losing their son in such a brutal and public way. Luka showed little remorse, his demeanor cold and detached, a stark reminder of the darkness that had driven his crimes. Luka was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison, but for many, the scars of his actions remain. His case wasn't just about one man's monstrous deeds. It was about the internet's role in amplifying those deeds. The fact that he had an audience, a morbid, curious audience, was a chilling commentary on how far humanity has fallen in its fascination with violence. The story of Luka Magnotta forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. Why are we drawn to sensationalized violence? How do killers like Luka use the internet to manipulate and exploit their audience? And most importantly, how can we prevent someone like him from emerging again? Jun Lin's life was taken in the most horrific way imaginable, but his story is one that deserves to be remembered. Not for the killer who tried to steal the spotlight, but for the vibrant, kind soul who should still be here today. What are your thoughts on this case? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, stay safe out there, because sometimes the most terrifying monsters aren't hiding in the shadows. They're right in front of us, looking for an audience.